It's always a banger. A TSM is something one of our former players once said, and it seems to be holding true even now as the Players Association has gone after TSM. And I even have a little bit of separate news that is, well, I guess connected to that. So, yeah, let's talk some TSM. That's right, TSM fans. Does it seem like the world's burning around us? Because, man, the LCS is going through something right now as its Players Association, which is a very. It's a fun thing that I wish mattered more, just in terms of I don't know that they have any real power. But, I. I'm really intrigued by what is happening right now with this, and how it specifically connects to TSM is that the rumors that we were talking about before, where the LCS, specifically Riot, was considering, making it so that the NACL didn't have to exist anymore, was ended up becoming true, and the Players Association decided to respond to that as they Riot decided that while they would keep the NACL, it would no longer be required for the LCS teams to have a team, to run a team within that. And so there were some interesting things that the LCSPA put out there, specifically that, they were. There's no plan really that's been provided to them, that they were told, as recently as 1 week before they posted this, which was now like about 10 days ago from me recording this, that there were not going to be any changes in 2023, that they were still discussing for 2024. They say that people, they want to protect what's going on, and that these lower leagues are the best way to get talent for the LCS, and that that the Players Association does have a plan that they shared with Riot, and that they called out that they're appeasing the owners, essentially, of just wanting to penny pinch on everything. And so the LCS proposal, the Players Association's proposal, was really interesting, and I think I'll get into that in another video. I'm going to read it real quickly to you guys, and then I'm going to kind of discuss how this connects to TSM, as there was another tweet very recently about them. So the proposal for 2024 was allow teams to pay NACL players based on local wage laws instead of California labor minimums. Interesting to me. Allow teams to partner with affiliate organizations to operate their NACL rosters and share costs, meaning that a team close to me, Cincinnati Fear, could have ran TSM, something similar we had heard that TSM was looking for with potentially the Maryville deal. And, that would have been also very interesting. I don't really know how it would have benefited the other teams for taking over those spots. I don't know. That one kind of confused me, but it seems like everybody else is on board with it, so I mean, it might be good, I guess. Introduce a robust in-game item program for LCS teams that mirrors their generous revenue-sharing program in Valorant. I think that's the big one right there. That's one that we have already talked about, and that I think I'll probably dive a little bit deeper into on another episode of this, because, again, this stuff is all relevant to TSM because of the LCS. I know there's not a lot going on for TSM necessarily right now. We're not at MSI. We pretty much know who the roster is going to be. I'll be doing deeper dives into our actual roster and my expectations for the team once the summer gets a little closer. But for right now, it's better to be talking about things that are going to affect us now and going forward. Last thing here, introducing meaningful incentives like promotion, relegation, and revenue sharing for outside organizations to invest in NACL rosters. All this stuff, they come out, they're talking about how they would actually still be cutting costs by doing this, how it would allow for all these things to be, viable for the LCS and for the NACL. and it was, let me see here. So that one was on the 12th. This one's 3 days later. So on Friday, which was, let's see. So that was on the 12th. Okay, so as soon as this stuff came out and the decision to no longer need an NACL team, TSM dropped their NACL team immediately after Riot's decision. They didn't so much as bother to face the community and announce the end of their NACL program publicly. Riot is bending over backwards for the wrong people. Players and fans deserve better than this. The Players Association, they are not holding back. I mean, they are not burning bridges, but they are absolutely just like scorched earthing all these teams right now, because there's a very clear battle going on between owners and players, and this Players Association has an opportunity at this point to really break into and do something and start potentially a union even for the first time in esports history that I know of, at least for the players, and it could be as widespread as all of esports if they decide to do this and potentially even go on a strike, which some people are saying that the players should consider going on a strike, which would be really interesting considering we're right in the middle of MSI and all this stuff is happening. Cloud9 are about to play and have an opportunity to, continue going on. But if they get knocked out at MSI, then there's no other NA news or things that can happen for the next couple of weeks at this point. And it makes things really, really interesting. And from what I had heard, TSM already had players lined up for a roster. It was going to be as budget as I have ever seen, by the way. I'm not going to leak everything that I was told, but I did promise some people on the Talking TSM Reddit that I would, or not Reddit, the Talking TSM Discord, that I would reveal some names that I had heard. I'm only going to reveal one for now because it's not going to end up happening, but I had been told by two separate sources that a man named Dardoch was potentially going to be coming back as the LCS or the NACL jungler, not the LCS jungler, the NACL jungler, which would have been a very interesting connection. He had stepped away to go back to college, was playing on a college team. To have him brought back into the organization would certainly spice things up. People would be definitely talking a lot, and this would come off the back of Sven Skaren deciding to retire. Like, there are a lot of things going on right now with the LCS, and for TSM specifically, now they're no longer going to have an NACL team. There will no longer be players to be pulled up from an Academy team, and this is a big deal in my opinion, because this to me just signifies how little TSM care. I mean, their roster is already budget. Like, I really had been told, and I think even potentially misled by certain individuals, that TSM was doing fine. They publicly had stated that they were doing fine, even with the FTX collapse. But I think they spent a lot on getting a second, major office space in LA, and I think they're feeling the repercussions of that. I think, the economy and all the other things that are going on around the world are definitely affecting them. And that's no excuse to not fulfill your obligations as a partnered team in the LCS. And, you can blame franchising all you want. Franchising, I understand for some people may not be a great system, but, it's franchising that's going to move that has moved even the LCS from being kind of an amateur league to being more professional, or it's at least supposed to be. That's the reason why you do it, right? Is because it allows for these teams, I think, to have a little bit more not just say, but the ability to build a fan base, right? Because if your team can be just knocked out of the LCS at any point because they have one bad split, similar to what we did, then that can kind of kill your fan base. That can kind of kill the way things are done for your team overall. And so I still am a fan of franchising. I think it's not being utilized correctly, and I think a lot of the owners have gotten really lazy, and that's a part of what happens with franchising sometimes. And I don't think esports individuals really understand the ebbs and flows of that as a Reds fan, as a Bengals fan, and just as a sports fan in general. I've seen this happen across so many different organizations where maybe they're just not as competitive sometimes. I mean, there were times, and I know again, esports fans specifically, LCS and TSM fans don't want to hear this, but like there were decades long times where teams were just not relevant, where they were just pretty average, and then a player would come in and change things. The Bengals are a prime example for this. The Bengals were known for being cheap. The Bengals were known for not really doing a whole lot. And ever since they drafted Joe Burrow, everything has changed. Not only does he bring a winning culture, he has demanded that things change. They got a new head coach in, and they demanded that ownership change their ways, and things have changed. And now they're one of the more respectable franchises in the world for football. And then on the other side, you have the Reds, who for so long were competitive, and they were really trying to work, in the 2010s, really working on being one of the better franchises. And then ownership got desperate for money and really kind of gave up on what I thought was a really good roster, and now they're having to rebuild again. So that's why, my perspective has always been like, well, maybe TSM are just rebuilding, but really it just came down to apparently they didn't want to spend more money on the LCS, and this Players Association tweet seems to pretty much signify that. But the thing is that it is weird for them to say this because TSM haven't said anything, and I don't know when or if they're going to at this point. But like, you even look now, this came out just a few hours ago from when I'm recording this, and Immortals are also abandoning the NACL, which doesn't totally surprise me. They haven't been one of the bigger orgs for a while, but now the Players Association is calling out every other team still left, and will you commit to staying in the NACL? I think there's only a few that are going to. I think, I would say maybe 100 Thieves, but I would say C9, FlyQuest, Team Liquid, and maybe NRG will. I just don't know if everybody else will. I would say Dignitas, Evil Geniuses, and likely Golden Guardians probably won't, but who knows? I really don't know yet. But I mean, for us as TSM fans, guys, like we have 5 players. We no longer have 10 players. We have a new coach, which I think was good. I think it was a good signing to get Revan, but like, dude, I don't know. I mean, I'm really hesitant about what's going to be our future, what our future is going to look like. I should say I'm hesitant to say good things about our future right now. I am going to continue to cover TSM as long as there's an LCS team, but if they decide to drop out of the LCS, and even go to another region or anything, I really just don't know if I can support that, because it just feels like we're being abandoned right now, and I don't love that feeling. If I'm being honest with you guys, I'm sure you guys don't either. So, I mean, I don't know. Let me know in the comment section below what you guys think. Who, like, is it all just bad? I mean, do you guys want me to dive even a little deeper? I know this is already a longer episode, but I really just wanted to kind of get my thoughts out there about what's going on, and I don't think it's great for TSM, and it's certainly not, it's one of the few situations where no news would have been better news for us, because it meant maybe we were staying. A lot of people will say even bad press is good press. This is not good press for anybody right now. Even though Players Association is going to be burning some bridges, there are going to be a lot of people who are going to be really pissed off about this, and it's an ever-evolving story. I'm really, really interested to see where this goes next, because like I said, we have a couple weeks left until the summer split starts, and we're just being told now that we don't know how the NACL is going to look, and if the players go on strike, like, do we just not have a North American League of Legends scene for a couple weeks? What does that look like? I don't know. Player strikes, I guess the last point I'll make on this is that player strikes have happened. The biggest and most notable one was Major League Baseball, where they basically took an entire season off because they could not come to a collective bargaining agreement, which is something that you do to create rules and split money and everything between the players and the ownership group. And so I have a very distinct feeling that this may be the path we're heading down. I don't know if it'll happen during the summer because a lot of people are still under contracts. They still want to make that money. But this offseason could get unbelievably spicy where the Players Association are just going to go at Riot and the team owners. And they're going to have to sit down at a negotiating table and try to figure something out. And that will include Reggie. And I don't, with how his personality is, I'll say, I'd love to be a fly on the wall in that room. But yeah, we'll have to see. Again, let me know what you guys think, and I'll continue to cover some of this stuff, especially when it has to do with TSM. Yeah, I'll see you all in the next one.